Grab your energy drinks and run! Run to the storage room! Because we're checking out the Dead Island Iceberg. Throwing in some of my own entries as always, color-coded for your convenience. Thank you Eggnog7 for creating this iceberg. Oh, and of course, spoilers ahead. Let's start with layer 1, the tip of the iceberg. Trailer. A gut-wrenching yet iconic trailer from the game Dead Island. It has 18 million views at the time of recording and still holds up even to this day. ID cards. A collectible from people who died during the zombie outbreak. There's 100 of them to collect. Who Do You Voodoo? The most iconic song from Dead Island sung by playable character Sam B. It is an incredibly catchy earworm and is played in the intro cutscene of the game.
Hide your kids, grab your wife, better get out of sight. Who do you voodoo, bitch? Let's go.
Ripper mod, an exclusive weapon mod only obtainable via a code or having the Game of the Year edition or definitive edition. Bloodbath Arena, one of the first DLCs for the game. This is an endless horde mode with 4 arenas with their own difficulty levels and 5 new weapons. It was released November 23rd, 2011. Kuru. This is an IRL prion disease that infected the indigenous 4 tribes of Papua New Guinea and is contracted by eating the brain matter of infected individuals. Symptoms include balance difficulty, muscle spasms, difficulty swallowing and talking, ulcerated wounds on the skin, and eventually death. Kuru is cited as the inspiration for pathogen HK. This is the name of the fictional disease responsible for the zombie outbreak. It's an enhanced form of Stage 2 Kuru with traces of Stage 2 HIV, hence the name HK. Benoi Herald excerpts. Here's some more collectibles. These give random facts about Papua New Guinea, and there's 40 of them to collect. They also give information on Benoi, a fictional island located off the coast of Papua New Guinea and a popular tourist destination. It's also the location the game takes place in. Rider White DLC. Released on January 31st, 2012, this DLC lets you play as the game's main antagonist before and during the game in a completely new campaign. Tape recordings. Yet even more collectibles. There's 12 in the main game and 5 in Rider White's campaign. Geez, Dead Island really was a collectathon, wasn't it? These tapes belong to someone who we'll talk about in a future entry. Duplication glitch. Multiple duplication glitches existed on all platforms that, well, duplicate items, and each platform required a different method to activate the dupe glitch. Ted B. Outside a bungalow in the mission Passport to Life, you can find an NPC in a literal pool of blood crying about how he killed his whole family. His name is a reference to IRL serial killer Ted Bundy. That's where the similarities end though. Kind of a random reference, don't you think? Children. Children were originally going to be present in the game, but was cut for obvious reasons. Fun fact, NPCs Danny Craig and Ann Snyder were originally going to be children before the cut was made. The tape recordings also mention zombified children. Now, I don't know about you, but I would have loved to beat up children. Now for some bonus entries. O-negative immunity. Upon starting the Man of Faith quest, Dr. West explains that people with O-negative blood types are immune to pathogen HK. This explains why all main characters can get bitten by zombies and be completely fine. This is different to being a carrier though. Carriers have the pathogen in their blood but are asymptomatic, while immunity causes the disease to just die in the host's body. Dead Island spin-offs. In addition to the mainline games, 4 spin-offs were also created. There's Escape Dead Island, a third-person game with mixed reviews, Dead Island Epidemic, a now cancelled MOBA, Dead Island Survivors, a mobile game for iOS and Android, and Retro Revenge, a side-scrolling beat-em-up that came free with the definitive collection. Moving on to Layer 2, Under the Waves. Suicider Help Me. If you listen closely to a suicider zombie, you can hear them say, "Help me." Thankfully, you can help them with a small dose of iron. Nenja Samejin. This is the name of a zombie in Hotel Bungalow 4, tied to a bed with cameras in the room. If it wasn't obvious enough, her name is also an anagram of IRL adult film actress Jenna Jameson. Damn freaky devs. Hector Lecter. He's found in Bungalow 15 with his girlfriend Lucy and will immediately attack you when getting close to him. Their names are Beatles references to Helter Skelter and Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds respectively, although his name could also be a Hannibal Lecter reference though. Jason. Yep, the killer from Friday the 13th is here as well, sporting his iconic hockey mask and machete. Random zombies in the jungle area and some in Moresby also have hockey masks on as well. He's very dangerous and risky to kill, but when dead, you can find an extremely powerful chainsaw in his house. Developer craft mods. These are secret blueprints you can obtain by collecting different colored skulls and placing them on their designated altars. These also have the developer names in the flavor text and are quite fun to play with. Roger Howard. He's the man behind the tape recording mentioned earlier. The tapes detail his adventures through all playable areas before dying in the prison to prison guards. You can find his body next to his last entry. Car fling. One of the most popular and quite funny multiplayer glitches, if you shoot a shotgun while in the car while someone else is driving it, your car will turn into an airplane flying you across the map. Severity would vary. This was fixed in the definitive edition because the devs hate fun or something. Hacked weapons. If you're a pleb or just bad at video games, get good. Or you could just hack some base guns in the game. Hacking consoles at the time was at its peak and gave birth to automatic pride shotguns and pistols or rifles with infinite ammo. Kevin Karen the Barrister. This is the prison inmate that flies you off the island after killing Ryder White. He's also very important lore-wise, and we'll talk about them again in future entries. Zombies wielding weapons. Some walkers carry weapons with them, causing a lot of damage when you get hit. They can also throw their weapons and deal crazy high damage. Just remember your dodgeball training and you'll be fine. Yerima. You meet this indigenous woman in the Tomb of the Natives, where the tribe leader Ope tries to kill her, claiming she's a bad spirit. Playable character Perna kills Ope on the spot, and you have to escort her to the lab, and she stays with you until the end of the game. Legendary weapons. If you are actually good at video games, you can find some legendary weapons. You can tell they're legendary by their unique names and orange text. You find these in metal chests, quest rewards, or looting them from suiciders, rams, or butchers. Who's the man in the opening cutscene? No one knows who this man is. The most popular theory at the time was that it was Ryder White, but he was deployed at the time, so we know it's not him. He does have the same model as NPC Connor, but I'm sure he was just a random drunkard to introduce us to the four main characters. Family from the trailer in prologue. As soon as you start the game, leave your room, take a left, and enter the open door. You'll find a room with two dead tourists wearing the exact same clothes as the family in the trailer. Definitive Edition shotgun nerf. Shotguns in the original game dealt very high body damage and would insta-kill on headshots. You know, kinda like how shotguns would actually work in real life. The Definitive Edition saw this as OP and replaced all buckshot rounds with Nerf pellets, dealing almost no body damage and removing headshots. There is crit damage, but that purely relies on luck. How many days exactly? This is a secret achievement for playing the game 28 days after first playing. Pretty obvious reference to the zombie movie 28 Days Later. Awesome movie, by the way. Now for some bonus entries. Quest pages. When given a quest in the original game, it was handed to you scrawled on a piece of scrap paper as to accept or decline the quest. The Definitive Edition changed this to a default yes or no to start the quest, just destroying the personality of the game. Definitive Edition UI changes. Most of the creative UI of Dead Island has been heavily stripped back in the Definitive Edition to standard pause and loading screens. Censored billboards. There's multiple billboards in the original version that have suggestive content on them, suitable for a beach resort, right? Well, these were changed in the Definitive Edition for unknown reasons. Moving on to Layer 3, the body of the iceberg. Frying pan. Considered by many to be the worst weapon in the game due to its inability to be repaired or upgraded and the fact it's found so late in the game. Although people might have enjoyed it more if it had Left 4 Dead 2 sound effects. Truck bed passenger glitch. A PS3 exclusive glitch where when riding in the truck bed of a car and you look forward while the car is moving, everything will freeze for you. What's interesting though is that in multiplayer, other players aren't affected and even perceive you as moving normally. Me and my technical assistant tried to replicate this, but we were unsuccessful. So we resolved this in the most technical way we know how. Yerima is a carrier. In the main campaign, we learn Yerima's tribe was forced by Ope to eat the brains of the dead, contracting the disease. However, in Ryder White's campaign, we find out that not only is Yerima immune, but also has a more potent strain inside of her. Ryder also injects himself with the vaccine made from Yerima's blood. Suiciders kill through walls. Pretty self-explanatory. Suiciders will deal full damage through solid walls for no reason at all. This exists in both versions of the game. Ryder isn't the voice. Turns out the identity behind the voice was Kevin all along. We find this out in Ryder's campaign. Also, Ryder never once interacted with the heroes until the encounter on the roof. Joseph model change. Despite the fact that this man is clearly darker skinned, in the quest Lady in Trouble on the Definitive Edition only, the devs gave him the Michael Jackson special and turned him white. Only in this quest line too. Laura. This is a 10-year-old girl mentioned by Cinemoy on the radio who was hiding at the lifeguard tower trying to escape her parents who wanted to kill her. But because she hid in water overnight, she contracted both pneumonia, a 40 degrees fever, and became delirious, believing Jack, who she calls Bobby, is going to kill her. Later in the game, you learn she succumbed to her illness and there's no quest to help her either. She never makes an appearance either due to children being cut from the game. D34D1574ND. These are the license plate numbers on all cars in the game, but in the the definitive edition, these were boringly changed to random numbers. Butcher of Benoy, a psycho located in the prison who cut up his whole family with a machete when he was 9, and when the infection spread to the prison and got freed, he killed every zombie and survivor he saw. So inmates locked him in a room past the cafeteria. He used to be no more dangerous than a normal human enemy, but the most recent patch buffed his stats to be more similar to a thug. The the definitive edition reverted these changes though. Logo change. The ESRB forced Deep Silver to change the original logo in North America from a hanging zombie to a standing zombie due to implications of lynching. Guys, it's not that deep. Strangely enough, only the box art was changed, not the in-game logo, but that was fixed in the definitive edition. Tetracycline. In Ryder's campaign, this is medicine you obtain to slow down Emily's infection. Tetracycline is also a real-life medicine used to slow down prion growth, and considering pathogen HK is a prion disease, it's a pretty cool attention to detail. Sam B has 2 VAs. In the game, he's voiced by Phil Lamar, but his singing voice is done by Joseph J7 Lord. Was Ryder immune? This is some popular speculation if Ryder was infected or not. Depending on what you believe, the cuts and scrapes on him either came from zombies or the helicopter crash he was in. I personally think he's non-immune because he turns into a zombie at the end. I don't care what form of pathogen HK was in that syringe, if you're immune, you're immune. End of story. Banned in Germany. Well, imagine my shock that a violent video game was banned in Germany. Even the developers made a statement saying they're not surprised. However, it was later unbanned in 2019. Spoiled meat. This is an achievement granted when you kill a butcher with an axe. This is a clear reference to Diablo where a mini-boss called the Butcher says,
Fresh meat.
Why an axe? Because the Butcher drops his cleaver, which is as big as an axe, when defeated. Benoy Herald excerpt number 33, unobtainable. It's trapped inside an inaccessible part of the laboratory and can only be accessed via glitches. This oversight is once again brought to you by the I'm completely devastated the definitive edition. I'm sorry, but could you tell I don't like the definitive edition very much?
He did the same joke about 3 times already. I don't think it's funny anymore.
Unused closing dialogue. Turns out all 4 playable characters had full speeches ready to go after the game finished, but was mysteriously replaced by the news broadcasts instead. However, these became the opening lines for these 4 in Riptide. Now for some bonus entries. Riptide DLC. The game Dead Island Riptide was originally going to be a DLC release, but it became so big it warranted its own release as standalone DLC. It should be pointed out that this is not a sequel to the series, but rather a direct continuation of the main game. Max level in prologue exploit. When being chased down a hallway at the end of the prologue, if you turn left, kick a zombie in the doorway down, and climb onto the bed, the zombies won't be able to reach you, and you can continuously kick them into the ground, gaining a massive amount of XP and going up a level or 2 upon a kill. Becoming max level is possible by reloading checkpoints, investing points into rage, and you can reach max level before starting the game. If you can grind for about 15 hours, as progress slows down heavily around the level 30 mark. Or get insanely bad luck like me and have the zombies jump up on the bed anyway. One Punch mode. A special definitive edition only mode where you can one-tap all basic zombies in the game. Your stamina is virtually unlimited, fist swing speed is greatly increased while also having a random chance to apply elemental damage, and all kicks will send enemies flying. The trade-off is that weapons are effectively useless as they don't apply the same effects.
お前はもう死んでいる。何？
Moving on to layer 4, the deeper iceberg. Infected orangutan. Tape recorder 8 mentions an infected orangutan that caused the car Roger Howard was in to crash and in the escape to the laboratory killed his already injured driver.
An orangutan. Oh, fuck. Nice. Jesus Christ. It's infected. It's the animal we hit. It should be dead. Why the fuck isn't it? Oh.
This is the only known incident of pathogen HK infecting animals, but we never see this orangutan in the game despite hearing monkey noises in the forest. Ryder taunts zombies. When playing as Ryder and aiming at zombies, he does a short come at me animation with his free hand because he's an absolute giga chad. Although Sambi and Jean may do the same thing when they unlock the fast head stomp. Logan and Perna don't do this because they're little bitches. Armored truck still at police station. When finishing the quest Lady in Trouble, where you rescue Jin from the police station, the armored truck should be missing from the underground parking lot. However, it's still there. Even if you take the truck outside the Bloodbath arena, it's still there!
Go away!
Haran. In a rare Definitive Edition W, tourist coaches will have the fictional city Haran written on the side, the same location that Dying Light takes place in, as that game is made by the same developers. Wall glitching infected. In the Painful Insanity quest, in the room with the medicine, there's a zombie who has the no-clip cheat on and can pass through solid walls, but I think he got a Chinese knockoff as he gets stuck on a pole and is harmless. This happens in all versions of the game, by the way. Day and night cycle. Yep, just like every other zombie game Techland released after this one, excluding Riptide, Dead Island also planned to have a day and night cycle, but all we get is random rain in Moresby. At least it gives the frying pan weapon a use.
I'll use my trusty frying pan as a drying pan!
Farting statue. In the Pure Blood quest, pressing 3 secret buttons in certain areas will cause a big statue to have a water jet come out of his ass. Yes, even game developers aren't above toilet humor either. Ripper mod is blunt. Despite the fact this mod can cut off limbs and has a literal buzzsaw attached to it, it still does blunt damage because it can only be applied to the blunt baseball bat. At least Sam B gets some good use out of it though. Sorry, Jean May. $6.66 gas price. This was the price of the gas in the original version. Kinda like real life. The Definitive Edition, however, boringly changed this to standard gas prices for 2011. Robin's Recorder. In a random hut in the river village, you can find a zombie tied to a bed with a knife in its neck with Robin's recorder next to him. What's interesting is that the dialogue in this recording is verbatim what another survivor says in the bungalows. Scrapped weapons. Believe it or not, we could have had rocket launchers, sawn-off shotguns, legitimate automatic shotguns, both bolt and lever action rifles, and thermite grenades in this game. Unfortunately, they were all cut, but the M72 lore did make it into Riptide. Where does Steven go? This man gives you a quest called The Lost, but when it's completed, he just disappears, never to be seen again. An oddity because he's among the group of survivors from the start. Scrapped emails. 14 emails were planned as collectibles for the game, talking about a group called the Consortium and various lore tidbits. I'm glad they were scrapped because even more collectibles? Calm down, brother. The voice model. You can see a bit of the voice's model in cutscenes with the control room, but the Definitive Edition replaces him with a generic NPC survivor model. Pretty sloppy work there. Original trailer. The masterpiece released in 2011 wasn't the first trailer shown. That honor goes to the E3 2007 reveal trailer, where you can see how rough around the edges the game was at the time. No wonder it was released in 2011 instead of 2008. Unmasking Jason. In the Definitive Edition's mission to rip the soul out of the original game, human heads can't be crushed or cut off in this version, unlike the original. Jason had a unique feature where cutting off his head would remove his mask, revealing his mostly generic face. But thanks to the no fun allowed policy, he can't do that in the Definitive Edition. Original trailer music in the game. You can hear the music from the 2007 trailer in several places in the game, like the supermarket's office or from the radio in Mugambi's house. This also exists in both versions of the game. Now for some bonus entries. No Room in Hell. Sam B released a lot more music than just Hoodoo Voodoo. One of these songs is No Room in Hell. It plays multiple times in Dead Island Riptide, most noticeably in the main quest, Rescue.
There's no room in hell. Players come quick. The air's getting thick. When the dead start to rise, there's no place to hide.
They even got Chameleonaire to be a guest singer for the song. You know, the guy who wrote that Riding Dirty song that was turned into a meme in the early 2010s? Yeah, that guy. Cut special zombies. In addition to Ram variants and even a butcher version of Rider White, there was also going to be nun zombies and even this awesome looking gorilla zombie that I think would have made a great boss zombie. Drowning zombies. Zombies can actually suffocate when face down in the body of water, complete with gurgling noises and even taking small bits of damage as well. One guess what you can't do anymore in the definitive edition. And look, I know I'm beating a dead horse at this point, but I will always love the design of the originals over shiny new graphics. Moving on to layer 5, the bottom of the iceberg. Infected and suiciders are still alive. A theory stating that suiciders and infected still have some form of human sentience left in them, but the disease leaves them trapped in a body they have no control over. We've talked about suiciders saying "help me," but there's also this paragraph in the game's manual. Infected also don't have much decomposition and still react shocked to their limbs being cut off. Pretty creepy stuff. Ope caused the infection. Mirroring the real-life tribes of 4, Ope enforced ritualistic cannibalization of the deceased brains, allowing Kuru to infect the tribe and mutate into pathogen HK. Interestingly enough, had Perna not shot Ope and let him kill Yarima, he could have single-handedly stopped the disease leaving Benoit. Shame Perna had something called morals. Speaking of Perna, feminist whore. In a leaked development build of Dead Island, Perna's skill Gender Wars is called feminist whore in the code. Damn, base developers. Once game journalists found out about this, Techland went on an apology tour and the devs responsible for the inside joke faced disciplinary action, which is just legalese for they were fired. Cancelled film. Film studio Lionsgate acquired the film rights on September 27, 2011, hired director Sean Daniels, the same guy who made The Mummy, and was set to be released in 2015. But nothing was heard about the film since its announcement, although the script did get leaked in 2017. BDIF. In the quest Bird on the Roof, the voice reveals himself to be not Benoit Island Defense Force Colonel Rider White, or BIDF for short. But Kevin says he's with the BDIF, and no one picks up on that.
Where do you think I found you at the hotel? I'm a BDIF Colonel, not some thug in a cell.
Was this a subtle hint the voice isn't who he says he is? Nah, this was just a minor script error that no one picked up on. Demers. All snack bars in the game have Deimos on the wrapper. A very neat reference to Mars bars, as Deimos is one of Mars's moons. Nick's Hub softlock. When entering this area for the first time, you have to kill a thug named Bob. If you use an explosive to kill him near the door, there's a chance the pipe blocking the door will be flung away, soft locking your game as you can't interact with the door anymore. Reloading last checkpoint or fast traveling fixes this though. Resort was originally harder. Concept gameplay screenshots show alongside suiciders, rams, and floaters would also be present in the resort. My theory as to why is because originally you were supposed to go back to the resort for a time and these enemies would appear once you unlock them. Flying rams. A glitch so rare I've only encountered it once during normal play. Same with the author of this Iceberg. For no reason whatsoever, rams just shoot straight up into the sky. They don't take fall damage and their pathing becomes broken when they return to Earth. Marvel comic. Released as a 2011 San Diego Comic-Con exclusive, this is a 6-page comic where we follow Roger Howard in a retelling of his second tape recording, with 4 pages dedicated to the main Dead Island cast. It was released to the public on 2014, but you can check out the full thing online. Jin's Memo. This is a series of 10 voice recordings Jin writes to her dead mother and mentions a lot of events that happened in the game. These notes are also written as if they just happened to her. They're even fully voiced as well. It was cut for unknown reasons, but man, this game is a lot darker than people give it credit for.
I just wanted to help. I just wanted to help. Why would they? No one can ever know.
Butchers kill other zombies. In the laboratory in the forest, there are some cages behind the lab, and the last one holds a butcher with many dead zombies around it, with the exception of the walker at the back. Butchers are usually found alone, so it might be a case of it attacks literally anything like a feral animal? I don't know, man, that's just a theory. A game theory! Dead Island novel. Written by Mark Morris on September 6, 2011, this is a novelization of the game with some minor changes, like Logan pretty much being a side character and the confrontation on the roof being with Ryder's wife instead of Ryder. Also, the book is a lot darker than the game, including child zombies and going into detail what horrors Jin and Yerima went through. Viewer discretion is definitely advised. Now for some bonus entries. Original Hoodoo Voodoo. This iconic Dead Island song was completely different in the beta version. It was even sung by someone called Wildfire instead of Joseph J7 Lord. In my opinion, I'm glad we didn't get this version. Mutilated Torso Controversy. In 2013, developers Deep Silver announced the Dead Island Riptide Zombie Bait Edition to Europeans and Aussies. It came with a steelbook case and a 31 centimeter tall bust of a female's mutilated torso with 3 variations to the bikini. Americans got the Rigor Mortis edition instead, replacing the bust with a fancy-looking travel case. Gaming journalists had an absolute field day upon finding this out, calling it tacky, repulsive, and some even said it was sexist. Deep Silver did end up apologizing, but they ended up releasing it anyway. Moving on to the final layer, layer 6, Pure Darkness. Gordon's Revenge mod. Apart from this being an obvious reference to Gordon Freeman from Half-Life, this was the original name for the Shocking Crowbar mod and only lasted a month before the name was changed. Roger Nelson Immortality. This survivor gives you the quest Bloody Valentine, where he wants you to drive his wife to the lighthouse. When you get there, the wife asks you to check up on him, but he's turned into a walker by the time you show up. Interestingly enough, if you kill him and then reload the map, he'll come back to life, thus his immortality. Although the same does happen to Ninja Saemjin. Rams originate from the prison. This theory came from Ryder's campaign, as we first see Rams in death row, and the game's manual states that Rams were insane before the outbreak. But if that's true, how did they get off the prison island and make it to Moresby and the jungle? A more likely theory is that there's a psych ward somewhere in Benoit, and that's where they came from. Secret cutscene. If you can somehow glitch yourself behind the church by going through the wall or using a car, there's a hidden interaction that shows a cutscene of a scenic tour of Moresby. No one knows its purpose. Possibly a debugging tool developers used, a test cutscene, or an unused in-game benchmarking mechanic. But since it's in both editions, it's considered an Easter egg. The plane was brought down by the Australian government. You know that plane you see landing when you first go to the lifeguard tower? This theory states that Oceanic Flight 1012, a reference to the TV show Lost, was shot down from attempting to land on Benoit during the outbreak. The quests A Voice from Above the Sky and Spy Game confirm that the whole island has been quarantined and blockaded by military ships. They even took out a fishing ship making a break for it to leave no witnesses. So who's to say they're not above shooting a whole plane down? Rascal Gang in police station reanimated by Lang Walker. Ever wondered how the zombies overran the upper floors of the police station? Well, one theory is that there's an unresponsive zombie in the detective's room that can't be interacted with. But once you save Jin, that zombie reanimates the dead bodies, causing a chain reaction, allowing the whole station to become overrun. It's probably just a gameplay designed not to be taken too seriously, but a nice theory nevertheless. Nikolai knew about the quarantine. Here's another tinfoil hat theory. Isn't it a bit odd how heavily armed Nikolai is for a helicopter crash victim? He already has a weapon, is sitting on a weapon box, and even has a Semtex grenade inside the helicopter itself. Also, how the hell can he just call a helicopter unless you had military connections? He even has friends or contacts that can just travel to and from a goddamn quarantined island. Even with his connections, though, they still have trouble with the military blockade. But it seems that Nikolai might have known more than he's letting on. Strategy guide messed up Butcher's health. Yep, they show the Butcher having the same health as the special infected warrior instead, whose stats aren't even listed in the book anyway. In reality, Butchers have the same health as Rams. Butcher of Benoit was a possible carrier. And yet another theory for you. The biggest evidence we have to this theory being true is that the Butcher is a cannibal. And if he ate zombie flesh, he should be infected with pathogen HK by now, right? Well, if that's true, then he'd be a carrier just like Yerima. but given his incredibly violent nature, I don't think Kevin would have suggested them, even if he was a carrier. Dead Island 2005 to 2007 builds lost. Now, it's pretty standard for prototype/beta builds of video games to become lost media, and Dead Island is no exception to this rule. Regardless, there is hardly any gameplay of these builds that exists online. We know it existed briefly as demos. Hell, we even have screenshots and short snippets from game interviews. Even GameSpot wrote a whole article on it. But unless anything gets unearthed, it seems these builds will forever remain lost media. Did I miss anything? Let me know in the comments below. More icebergs are on the way, so be sure to stick around and subscribe for more. And retro revent. And retro revet. Rev. Start your engines.